The fortress you've been ordered to defend is not merely a strategic asset, but a monument to the cost of endless war, and true victory requires not holding the line at all costs, but questioning whether the line itself was drawn in blood that should have long since dried. In Bastion, M.R. Forbes delivers a military sci-fi epic that transforms the last stand trope into a profound exploration of institutional fatigue and moral sovereignty, proving that in galaxies defined by perpetual conflict, survival isn't found in blind obedience, it's forged in the radical act of choosing humanity when doctrine demands you become a weapon. This isn't merely another space opera with fleet battles. It's a psychologically precise narrative where every tactical decision feels like both duty and burden. Consent to fight is negotiated through conscience rather than command, and leadership means honoring the lives beneath the uniform when the machine demands they be spent as currency. From the first hull vibration narration, listeners are immersed in a world where silence is strategy and presence is the only uncorrupted signal. Perfect for fans of emotionally grounded military sci-fi and stories where male vulnerability defies stoic expectations, this audiobook serves up atmospheric intensity, relentless emotional honesty, and a protagonist whose journey from hardened commander to integrated witness resonates with anyone who's ever mistaken endurance for absolution. When Captain Elias Thorne is assigned to hold Bastion's station against an overwhelming enemy offensive, he expects glorious sacrifice, not to discover the station's defensive protocols mirror the exact dehumanization that broke his predecessor, and the AI coordinating his fleet reveals suppressed logs, revealing decades of buried atrocities sanctioned by high command. But as Elias navigates bombardments and fractured crew loyalty, he realizes this defense isn't about territory, it's about reckoning. Forbes masterfully avoids reducing Elias to tragic hero or the enemy to faceless horde. Instead, he crafts a narrative where warfare becomes forensic anthropology of power, where consent is renegotiated through acknowledgement of complicity rather than assumed righteousness, and where liberation requires seeing the system's design before it consumes you. The audiobook narration amplifies this psychological vertigo, capturing Elias's disciplined focus fracturing into fierce clarity, while secondary voices shift subtly between performative loyalty and hidden agenda, making every bridge briefing feel like both collaboration and cross-examination. You don't just hear the battle unfold, you feel the seismic shift of a man learning that some lines can only be held when you stop letting them define your soul. What elevates Bastion beyond typical military sci-fi fare is its nuanced portrayal of command as inherited trauma rather than neutral authority. Elias isn't merely winning engagements, he's confronting how naval culture taught him to equate worth with results, challenging the notion that safety requires emotional detachment. His relationships evolve through acts of radical reciprocity, sharing silences during watch rotations that bypass performance, establishing protocols that protect both operational integrity and psychological safety, and defending subordinates' right to grieve against superiors who mistake skepticism for insubordination. Supporting characters add vital texture, veteran officers whose loyalty encodes suppressed shame, junior crew whose idealism carries intergenerational weight, even Bastion Station itself, rendered as living archive whose reinforced bulkheads absorb centuries of unspoken bargains. Every interaction reinforces the novel's core truth. In systems built on extraction, tenderness is tactical advantage, and presence is the only sustainable resource. Even the combat mechanics serve thematic depth, with shield harmonics mirroring emotional attunement and fleet formations becoming metaphors for earned trust. For audiobook listeners, this production is an immersive sensory descent into elemental reckoning. The narrator embodies Elias's evolution with remarkable range, from clipped professionalism to trembling openness during breakthroughs, while supporting characters are distinguished through vocal textures that honor rank without caricature. Sound design enhances atmosphere without overwhelming immersion. Distant engine thrums marking temporal rhythm, rain against viewport glass during vulnerable confessions, the hushed beep of comms syncing with breath during moments of clarity, all anchor mythic stakes in tangible reality. Pacing mirrors the cadence of siege warfare, deliberate during reflection and alliance building, then surging with urgency as external threats collide with internal awakenings. Whether you're commuting through stable landscapes or sitting in twilight solitude, the audiobook creates a portable sanctuary where slowness feels sacred and embodiment feels lifeline. It's storytelling as somatic validation, transforming passive listening into active participation in a journey where justice isn't found in victories, but in restoration. Ultimately, Bastion redefines military sci-fi by centering male emotional labor within institutional frameworks. It satisfies genre cravings for satisfying tactics and cathartic resolution while delivering substantive commentary on war fatigue, masculine vulnerability, and the radical act of trusting embodied knowledge when systems demand conformity. Prior series knowledge enriches context, but this volume stands confidently as a complete emotional odyssey for returning readers. If you've ever wondered whether strength can coexist with softness, or if true mastery requires embracing what others fear, this audiobook will affirm that sometimes the most powerful act is simply refusing to be consumed. Press play, take the con, and prepare to believe that even in landscapes shaped by war, hearts still find ways to speak. Your next favorite military sci-fi isn't waiting in flawless campaigns, it's waiting in the brave, trembling choice to honor the whole truth.